And what have we here? Is a real late summer treat. This is a beautiful old oak tree, and this time of year, if you look at quite a few big old oak trees, you may be lucky enough to spot the beefsteak mushroom. Here we are. Look at this lovely red, sort of almost organ meat, liver sort of coloration. Creamy surface underneath, so it's very young and fresh. And we're going to harvest this beauty. There's 2 or 3 more on this tree, so you know, really, there's no harm in doing so, and I'm going to show you a few more of its ID features in just a second. So here we are, it's looking rather splendid. Look at the lovely grainy sort of mussel-like texture and appearance of where it's been cut there. And you can see that it's oozing a little bit of red blood, which is discolouring wherever it's been bruised or perhaps pecked up by a few birds. We're going to follow the lead of the late Antonio Carluccio. He's a man I've got great respect for around his love of mushrooms. And later on I should be making this into some beefsteak jerky, which is a kind of a vegan jerky, a kind of meat substitute, and ideal for those of you who don't eat meat out there. I do, but I actually love this more than meat. And first of all, what Antonio Carluccio really taught us was that this mushroom is better enjoyed raw, thinly sliced, with a drizzle of lemon juice and a little tiny sprinkle of salt, than it is really from any of the recipes, certainly that I've tried cooking it, which tends to leave it a little bit insipid and a bit slimy. But if you thinly slice a nice firm one like this, and you've got more than you can enjoy in the raw condition, then what you can do is dehydrate those slices, and then once they're fully dehydrated, soak them in a marinade. A nice herby marinade is my favourite, with garlic, marjoram or thyme, and some balsamic vinegar, spludge of olive oil, little grind of salt and pepper, and in warm water, which is very key when you're rehydrating fungi. Never hot water, because it makes them leathery, and cold water is not so good either. But the warm water and the salt will draw the marinade into the dehydrated mushroom flesh, and then you can dehydrate it all over again, but this time dehydrate it until it's leathery and not sort of crispy dry, and then store it up, wrap it up and store it up somewhere very sealed and airtight in a cool, dark place, and it will keep for a good few months, and you can pull it out every time you want a snack of mushroom jerky. And this is a particularly fine mushroom for that job. You'll notice underneath, wherever I handle it, it's staining kind of reddish brown, and there's also, wherever it's been damaged, there's oozes of red blood that have come out and congealed and now look rather like dried blood. So the name beefsteak is very apt for this mushroom. But as I say, I really personally do prefer it either raw or turned into jerked beefsteak. Absolutely delicious, really nice find, really fine specimen, and let's see if there's any more. And I can see some young ones now, further up in the tree, much further up. Can you see there's 2 there visible from where I'm stood now? Those are going to become much larger, maybe a foot across in a week or 2. And in fact, I can see a 3rd one just around the corner there. And I'm not going to climb this tree. I think it probably is old and could do with the rest from people clambering all over it. But actually, there are probably loads of little beefsteak mushrooms all over the tree right now. So perhaps I'll come back in a few weeks and just see if there's any large ones within reach and maybe harvest one more. But I'm really excited with what I've got. And I've been trying out the new basket today. It's just a few early things, a few very small porcini buttons, some red crack boletes and larch boletes, and a little bit of turkey tail mushroom to go in the herbal dispensary. But that's going to keep me satisfied and fed, so I'm going to head off home now. And yeah, bye all. Just cooking up of some of yesterday's bounty now. Trying to get the camera to focus, not so good. You can see what I've got here. We've got some little pieces of seps, some red crack bolete, some matte bolete, And some Jersey cow bolete, just a little bit, because it can be a little bit slimy if you overdo that one. It's perhaps texture-wise a little bit of a lower grade than the others. And they've had a sprinkling of salt to draw out the juices, a grind of black pepper, and some thyme. And just browning them off, getting a bit of a Maillard reaction on the go. And then quite soon, I'm going to toss a couple of beaten eggs into the pan and make an omelette. Nice thing to do. So full of colour, and the smells coming off are just gorgeous. They're glorious. Wish you could smell it. It always pays to rub the pan around with a little garlic before you start. If it's just a small amount of mushrooms like this, you may not necessarily want to chop garlic in there. You may just want to slice a couple of large cloves and generously rub them around in the warm oil just to flavour it. And that ought to be enough. Depends how much you like garlic, of course. I absolutely love garlic. These are going to be ready soon. You see they're starting to brown a little bit there. We're getting some caramelisation. So we're just about good to go. Okay, so it's time to remove the dehydrated strips of beefsteak mushroom from the dehydrator, and you'll get to see first of all how much moisture they have in fact lost. But well, let me show you. Here we go. Beautiful, come out really well, but you can see they've shrunk absolutely loads. That's great because it means that when we immerse them, which is the next step in their lovely spicy marinade, you know, all of that volume is going to mean that they can take up an enormous amount of the marinade and an enormous amount of that flavour before we do the final stage and dehydrate them again down to leathery sort of jerky biltong consistency. So the whole thing's going really well. You can probably see that just like really when you jerk meat, you know, you get a very shrunken product, but it's highly concentrated in nutritional value in terms of its protein content and also in terms of its flavour. So very similar, and I think it's quite beautiful, don't you? Hope you've enjoyed this little video predominantly about beefsteak mushroom with a few little sizzling boletes on the side, and really look forward to seeing you again soon and showing you some more delights from the forest. Until then, take care, happy foraging, and see you soon.